Hi, I'm Dr. Paul Wood, and in this session, I want to talk to you about the concept of flow. Flow, getting into flow. This is commonly referred to in sports as being in the zone. It's when you bring your A game. It's when you perform at your best. It's when you have the greatest level of enjoyment and engagement with what you're doing. Flow. It's a concept in psychology that's attributed to Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi, who was the psychologist who really started exploring what is this concept, what are the ingredients that make it more likely to happen, what are some of the barriers that stop you from getting into flow. So how do we know when we're in flow? How do we know when we're in the zone? Well, there are some things that are commonly associated with this. For example, energized focus. You're really focused, but not in a way which drains and diminishes you, in a way that actually energizes you. You're fully engaged. You're fully involved and immersed in what you're doing. You're enjoying the process. And in fact, in flow, when you're in the zone, you often lose track of time, lost time. Now, I know some of you are thinking, isn't that one of the hallmarks of an alien abduction? Lost time? Indeed it is. The difference is though, when you're in flow, you end up with really good quality output and productivity. When you're abducted by aliens, you end up with scars all over your body, you don't know where they came from. So that's how you know the difference. Flow. So how do we get into flow? What are the ingredients that enable us to inhabit the space of just high engagement and enjoyment and productivity? Well, there are a number of things that are required. Firstly, you have to actually have clarity around what you're doing. You have to know what you're doing, what the goal is. But also you have to know how to do what's required of you to advance and progress in the area, in the activity you're focused on. You need to know what you're doing and you need to know how to do it. Also as well, there needs to be a high level of perceived challenge. You don't bring your A game. You don't get into flow when things are easy, when you're coasting, when you're relaxed. You bring your A game when you're right on that borderline of your capacity and your capability. It's high challenge. But also as well, you have a perceived high skill level. In other words, you see yourself as up for the task relative to that challenge. Also, there needs to be regular feedback. In other words, you need to know how you're going. Not only do you need to know how you're going, but you need to be free from distractions. Those are the key ingredients that enable you to get into flow and stay in flow. The distractions one is a really interesting piece because we inhabit a world where we're distracted all the time. Oh, message came through on my phone, email pop-up notification. I'll tell you this right now, those distractions, they are the enemy of flow states. And what we know actually is that every time you have a distraction like that, it takes your brain 20 minutes to get back into the same level of immersion, the same level of focus and concentration as prior to that distraction. So distractions are one of the big barriers for people when it comes to that getting into flow. What are some of the other barriers? Apathy, not really caring or being interested in what it is you're supposed to be working on. Another one's boredom. Boredom is associated with a lack of challenge. Remember I said before, there has to be high perceived challenge. It needs to place demands on you, require something from you. Boredom is the enemy of flow, as is anxiety. When we're worried about our ability to perform, when we're worried about not knowing what's required of us, and lack of goal clarity, goal ambiguity is another enemy of flow. It's something which really stops us from getting into that situation, getting into that position. Now, the type of flow that is often researched, that getting in the zone, it's often in the domains of sport. Sport is a big one because it really does bring together all of those elements so effectively. I've done a lot of work in sports and with sports teams as just part of my career and part of my interests. And one of the things I love about sports is there's no hiding from the feedback. It's very tangible. Moment by moment, you know how you're going. And that's such an crucial ingredient in terms of that flow. Other areas that are commonly researched and associated with flow states, music as well. And here's a big one, team, gaming. I want you to think about the elements of gaming. It just brings them all together, doesn't it, in terms of capturing you, in terms of cultivating that flow state. It's one of the reasons I'm not allowed to engage in gaming, actually. My wife, very wisely, places barriers upon me in terms of the lost time that would result from such an enjoyable but distracting activity relative to all the other things I have to do. So gaming, education's another area. But of course, for a lot of us, where we're interested in performing at a high level, efficiently and effectively, is in the workplace. So what are the things that we need in the workplace to really cultivate that experience of flow, to be more productive, to be more effective, to be more engaged? Well, we need to have real goal clarity. What exactly is it that we're working on? Why are we working on this? That's super important. And what I would say to you is if you don't have clarity of direction in terms of the work you're doing, in terms of how it fits in with the broader organizational goals and objectives, you need to be asking why. Why am I doing this? What is the purpose of this? And if you're in a leadership position and you can't communicate to other people why they're doing something, then you're not performing effectively as a leader. It's crucial for them to be able to actually perform effectively. You need to have clarity around goals and direction and purpose. Not only that though, you need to have regular feedback. You need to be able to know how you're going. Now, I've spoken a lot to people about the importance of seeking feedback in terms of having a clearer sense of self, in terms of being able to more effectively perform and be who you want to be in the world. But often we don't like feedback, so we shy away from it. And the reason is we're worried about being judged. But this is based on the mistaken assumption that our goal is to be good all the time, to be high performing all the time. Pro tip and secret that'll change your life, it's not. The goal is not to be good at any of the things that are important to you in your personal or professional life. The goal is to get better. And that goal of getting better, that is about pursuing your potential. And I tell you this right now, better never stops. You never reach a point where you can't improve or progress, no matter where you are. And feedback is the breakfast of champions when it comes to getting better. But you need to be able to switch off that oh so human, oh so understandable desire to avoid it because you feel you might be judged. And you need to recognize this is how I get better, by seeking feedback on how I'm going. And it's what enables me to get into the flow state to make me more effective, more productive, and have greater enjoyment in the process of what I do. And the third ingredient that you need in the workplace to really get into flow state is you need the right balance of opportunity and capacity. Now, a lot of us are engaged in workloads and tasks and deadlines that mean we don't really have the capacity to be free from distraction and not anxious about other things and fully focused on what we're doing. So really, that's about the disciplined pursuit of less but better. Being able to narrow down and focus and do an even better job on those tasks that matter most. That's about the capacity piece. And for those of you in leadership positions, it's about making sure that you're managing capacity. So it's the essential things that are actually getting the energy, getting the focus, that are getting done. And then, of course, there needs to be that opportunity for us. If we don't have the opportunity, if we're just doing bits and pieces here and there without the chance for full immersion to really get in the flow, we're not going to be having the best experience possible. We're not going to be as productive as possible. So go get in the zone, team. Avoid those distractions and cultivate those ingredients that enable you to have the best experience possible and be as productive as possible.